Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for dropping by and visiting. It has been quite a while since I have uploaded a video of myself speaking, and I just wanted to do a quick video. This past Sunday at our church, we had a special guest, and it was Shane Cartwright, and he is a wonderful evangelist. And every time he speaks, gosh, I am just so motivated, and I feel the spirit. Like, I know that he is definitely, besides being one of God's children, but he's definitely a chosen one of God's chosen ones, because the things that comes out of him, it's not just good words and not the feel-good stuff that a lot of people try to sell today. When he preaches, like, you feel the spirit. It moves you. It plants things inside of you that you just know that this man is legit. And then it makes you realize so many things about yourself that you gotta change or do more. So his big thing was talking about transitions and seasons, right? And this year, 2023, was my biggest spiritual battle of my life. And that is something that I'll save for another day, because it involves, involves my attempt with suicide, So that's for another video that I would love to share with you guys one day. But anyways, so he told us about how when we are in our seasons, sometimes it's a season where it feels like we're being punished. And that's exactly how I felt like this year. And I truly believe that this year was my season of punishment. And I don't know why I just saw the word punishment as like, that was the word for me. And I know that it's not really what God would say. It's a season of punishment, but it was my season of punishment. Like, for my sins, for how I treated people in the past. But it really was a season of growing pains, you know what I mean? And I had to let go of things about me that I thought was just traits. And I was just born this way, being short-tempered, being discouraged easily, being depressed. I thought all of that was just who I am. And it wasn't until I went through this season where I truly had to let go. Because Shane Cartwright said that whatever our mentality is at the end of one season, and if we transition into another season with those same mentalities, those same sins, the same traits that are toxic, our next season will be the same and nothing will change. And God was finally like, I need you to change, and I need you to stop being this way, because you are never going to grow, and I can't get you to the promised land. So Shane taught us that about like the Israelites. They were only supposed to be in the wilderness for a few days, but they ended up being in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 years. Imagine building a house that was only supposed to take, let's say, even a year. Let's just say even a year to build. But it ended up taking you 40 years. And you know why it probably took you 40 years? Because you probably ran out of money. You probably didn't stick to the plans every day to build it. You got lazy, weather, whatever it may be. It took 40 years to build a house. That's a long time. So the Israelites took so long in the wilderness because they were disobedient. They wouldn't listen, and they kept looking back. We can't keep looking back. We don't live there anymore. They don't live in Egypt anymore. We don't live in Egypt anymore. We have been led out of Egypt. And I was in the wilderness this year, and it really felt like I didn't feel alone. I was alone physically, but I knew that God was with me. But I was in that wilderness. And that wilderness felt like 40 years. It was 9 months of, this season for me was 9 months of hardship and 9 months of punishment. I like to say punishment because I really did deserve it. And but man, it felt like 9 years. And so the Israelites kept looking back at Egypt, kept looking back and wanted to go back to where they were slaves. Who wants to go back to being slaves? but it was what they were comfortable with. It was what they were used to. Same thing with Lot's wife. Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters were the only 4 people saved out of the whole city of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the angel told them, don't look back. God wanted to test your heart to see if you are still clinging to your old ways and still clinging to this world. So as they're running, she looks back because she's looking back at her old life, her family, her friends, the clubs, the bars, whatever it is that you're looking back at, smoking, drugs, alcohol, gambling, fornication, adultery, all that stuff, worldly possessions, money, big bank accounts, fancy cars, big houses, gold chains, all that stuff. You keep looking back. She looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. And so the Israelites took 40 years to finally obey God, 40 years to finally believe in God. I mean, he kept them alive. He fed the manna every day. So, like, God didn't just leave them destitute for them to go fend for themselves. So even while I was in my wilderness, God still provided for me comfort, love, his spirit, people from the church to comfort me. So I wasn't utterly alone, and they weren't alone. And so I learned too that Joshua, he was about 20 years old when he was the next one in line after Moses died. And of his generation, the 20-year-olds, only 2 people survived out of all of the people his generation. They all died. They couldn't deal with the wilderness. They couldn't deal with being out there and being lost, but not really lost. And they were the only ones who made it to the promised land. Out of his whole generation, every one of them died, but 2 people. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, so right now, if you're in your wilderness, are you going to make it to the promised land? I am proud to say that God led me through the wilderness, and I am now in the promised land. Now, does that mean that it's going to be all gravy from here? It's not, because this is life here on earth, and we're always going to have trials and hardships, sins, temptations, and stuff like that. But because I am much closer to God now, I know what to do. I'm better equipped. I have weapons, which is the Bible, prayer, fasting, and people who are like-minded like me. I have all those tools now, so I know how to fight. So if you're in your wilderness and you feel like you've been in your wilderness for a long time and God has left you, it's probably because you're not listening to him. You're still looking back at Egypt, and God's took you out of Egypt. He's taking you transition from that season to the next one and getting you ready for the promised land. So you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready. Change the things about you that needs to be changed. Your attitude, your mindset, your heart, your language, your vulgar language. That's got to go. Because remember, the words that come out of your mouth is the fountain of your heart. So if your words of your mouth is filth, your heart's filth. But if you want it to bring life to people, you've got to speak life. So I want you guys to know that 2024, I'd love to say, hey, it's a great new year, but we know that tribulations are coming. We know that the second coming is coming. The end is near. It is not time to say, you know what, I got some time. We don't have time. So change the things about you. God finally changed those things about me because he needed me to fight for his kingdom this year to help bring other people who are also lost to come to him. So this is my video. This is my video and your sign for change. And remember, whatever attitude you are leaving one season, it's going to be the same for the next one. So get rid of all the negative. You are no longer in Egypt. You may be in your wilderness, but God has a plan for you, and he will get you through it to the promised land. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.